Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Annihilation Scourge Omega. This is the final issue of the Annihilation Scourge mini event. Did it live up to the hype? Did it land the way that it's supposed to land, which is what I always say. Stick the landing. Suddenly, you got a good event. You got a really good event. Well, let's see. Let's talk about who made this comic book first, and then we'll get into it. Matthew Rosenberg is the writer. He is also the mastermind behind the entire event. Penciler, Manuel Garcia. Inkers, Rafael Fonteras, Cam Smith, Wayne Foucher, and Manuel Garcia. And colorist, Federico Blee, with Rachel Rosenberg and Eric Arcianeggia. So letters, VC's Corey Petit, artist, Jose Maria Casanovas, and variant cover, Arthur Adams and also Edgar Delgado. They both did the variant cover. Graphic design, Carlos Lau. All right, so this was pretty interesting. I'm gonna say like one bad thing about the art and one thing about it being a little bit kind of flat. And that last part is talking about the story. This was a good event. Every single thing that happened in the event, for the most part, pretty darn good. Like I could just, in my head, like I'm astral projecting and just seeing Rosenberg sitting there like pointing out, delegating. Okay, we're gonna do this event. We're gonna have this book, this book, this book, this book. All right, I'm gonna do these two books plus the final book, and you're gonna do this book, and you're gonna do that book, and you're gonna do that book, and like it's gonna be awesome. And what I want you to do in this book in general is this, and do it any way that you want to do it. You know what I'm saying? As long as this happens, we're good. Oh, here's the backstory for it. And everybody's just like, oh, let's use our imagination. Let's just go crazy. That's cool. Or Rosenberg could have just written all of them. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. I don't know. Was he assigned this? And it's like, I genuinely don't know. But yeah, I could just see him giving like a certain level of instruction and then just letting it go. That might be the fault in the stars here, because for the most part, like some of the events that happened in these comic books were better than others. Other times it's like, dude, you're really taking a little bit too much free reign in this. It's like, instead of wasting time with, like, the Fantastic Four is the one that bugs me the most. That was supposed to be the key one. That's supposed to be the one where Johnny comes out. It's like, there were some great moments in it, but understanding that the whole book was about getting Johnny into leadership mode, or maybe it wasn't. I don't know, because here, what the hell did Johnny do exactly? Okay, get those ships up in the air. Okay, let's do this. And his grand moment was completely cut off by Reed. So what exactly was the point of all this? Oh, gonna get chilled because the window's open. Well, it's either breathe or freeze, so let's just take breathe, I guess. Anyway, so what happened now? They Now, this issue, man, there were things that happened previously, like the Beta Ray Bill one was so absurdly amazing. And in this, they just rectified it so callously, you know? That's actually where the problem with the art comes in this particular issue. I could tell clearly well, I don't want to sit here and place blame on anybody, but I mean, like, you look at Beta Ray Bill. Everybody else, it looks great. The art for everybody looks great. The colors look great. I don't know if this is the inks or the pencils. It might be a little bit of both. It might be just whatever. Like, I've talked to so many inkers in my time, and like old school inkers too. Let's sit there and talk about, sometimes the artist doesn't, do such a great job, and you're looking at like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? You talk to the publishers, like, dude, what am I supposed to do with this? The editor, I should say. Make it look the best you can. Well, should I change it, or should I just ink it? Just highlight it. Like, what should I do? Should I ink it, or should I change it? Sometimes you get somebody says you should change it, and you're gonna like, you never know who you're gonna piss off in that regard. You're gonna piss off the fans. You're gonna piss off the editor. You're gonna piss off the artist. The penciler. You never know. It's a lose-lose situation. So I honestly don't know. Maybe the inker came along, because I've seen that also, where the inker comes along and makes it look worse, or makes something that looks good look bad. I've seen that before, but I don't know. When every single part of Beta Ray Bill looks similar to this, I'm fairly disappointed. The art and everything else, though, looks great. But there's just so many people working on this book. Like, too many pots in the kitchen, too many cooks in the kitchen. Look at this. Some of this stuff is just, it's amazing. It's amazing. I like this thinking man, tired and hasn't shaved and hasn't trimmed his mustache in a while. Read, you know what I'm saying? Like, that mustache is way too long. I like it. I would have liked it more if there was a little bit of scruff at the bottom of the mustache or the beard. You know what I'm saying? But like, I've had those days. I've had those weeks. But for the most part, like, this art is just, it's gorgeous, no matter where you look at it. But then you look at Bill, it's like, dude, what the frig? And I'm okay with how he looks when he's younger, or you should be when he's in his old form, because whatever, man, that's just what he looks like. But some of these just don't look great. Yeah, kind of frustrating to look at. Anyway, all in all, can't show you that page because there's so much spoiler there. But I will show you this. Oh my God. Oh my God. There were 3 colorists on this. I don't know who did that one, but man. Ooh. The art on this book, aside from Bill, fantastic, and really did it. That scene that I can't show you because it's just way too much spoilers. I'm not lying when I say this. I looked at that, I was like, yeah, Richie Rider got scared. I'd be scared too. I'd be scared as hell. I'd look at this and be like, nope, that ain't me. I ain't doing that. Nope. Nope. But you have to, because you're a hero, and that's what we do. Nope, I retire. Here, you want my helmet? I'm gone. Like, I'm not lying. I don't know if I could do that. I genuinely don't. That was messed up. That's terror right there. So the art in this, for the overall art, whoever did Beta Ray Bill, I love you, man, but just don't ever do Beta Ray Bill again. Whoever made Bill look like that, don't do Bill again. That is definitely not your strong point. Work on it if you're gonna, but all that being said, the story itself, a lot of action, a lot of craziness, but not a lot of payoff for the purpose of the other books. I'd almost rather just see a regular old event, the Alpha, the Omega, and all that stuff, and try and figure out what goes in the middle. It's kind of cool that they do this, because you think about it, you got book 1, Alpha, and the final one, Omega, which is usually book 6, right? It's usually a 6-issue event that they do. Most of the events that are out there are 6-issue events. And then you have all these crossover books. Here, there are no tie-ins, but there are 4 books in between, or sometimes 5, whatever, but usually 4 books in between that are just, here's a Beta Ray Bill book, here's a Silver Surfer book, here's a Fantastic Four book, here's a Nova book, right? 4 books, bang. And you could read them in any order that you want. So I kind of dig on that. I really do. That's okay, cool. And they all should be in the Annihilation Scourge category. You know what I'm saying? When you look at them on the wall or in the bin, if you're going to find them in the dollar bin later on, whatever. That's where you should find them. But I kind of like the old thing better. It's like, you don't have to get any of these books. You just have to get this book. But there are things that happen in there. Like here, the explanation for the things that happen in the other books wasn't that great in this book. So you kind of do have to get those other books. Great marketing technique, but, look, here's something I really want to comment on, okay? Because as far as the ending of this book, it feels like nothing changed. It's like, but then you get to that last page and it's like, so what changed? A debt to somebody? Is there a debt now? No, a debt is fulfilled. We didn't even know there was a debt. It was a funny little thing. Way to make Annihilus a joke. I'm cool with that. Honestly, as much as it sounds like I'm berating it, I'm only partially berating it. Because whatever. Like, it is what it is. The original Annihilation, Annihilus was a terror. He was a threat. He was the primo threat number 1. It's like, dude, this is like extinction level event, the threat level this guy is. I don't know what to do with this. You know what I'm saying? Terrifying. And here, you're going to obviously name this in a very similar way. And what does it do? What exactly does it do? You're going to make him mostly a joke. I love you too, Bagel. I need you to go now. Come on. Good girl. Here. As far as events are concerned, not everything could be the Civil War. Okay, Civil War. We still have repercussions of that today. We still build off of those stories today in the Marvel Universe. The Crisis books, all of them. For the most part, you build off of a lot. Some of them you just ignore completely, right? But some of them, Some of them are more important than others. You know what I'm saying? Whether they're memorable or not. The question is, can you still build off of those stories? That's the key, as far as I'm concerned. Mind you, this is an opinion. This is not a news station. This is university. We're here for facts and opinions on those facts, commentary on those facts. Let's look at, you know what? Let's look at what is basically the original event, because it crossed comic books. It tied a bunch of comic books together, and you literally had to get all the books in order to understand everything. X-Men, the Inferno. I almost said Ragnarok. Oops. X-Men Inferno. All right. And you could look at the fall of the mutants. You could look at all these different stories. But like, you look at Inferno. That book changed what comic book writing is to this day. We wouldn't have all these events if it wasn't for that, and the success of it, and what people put into that. All this big collaboration of, hey, let's just go crazy on this. Let's go ape crap crazy on this. I don't know that this event did that. I don't know that a lot of events really do that. I know a lot of people aren't a huge fan of Secret Empire. If you've been with this channel for a while, you know that I am not one of those people. I loved the Secret Empire event. Ending felt a little bit flat, but with the backlash that Nick Spencer got, it's fully, acceptable in my mind that he just didn't want to have anything to do with it anymore. So of course it's going to come off as kind of flat. He literally just like, okay, people hated this so much, I don't want to be bothered with this anymore. But there was so much there that other people had to come along and do things with it, because it was so completely out of this world. No one has tackled something like that before. Annihilation Scourge, clearly based off of the Annihilation event. Did this match that? Is it even something that any of us really want to talk about afterwards? Does this feel like something that we're going to have repercussions of this later on? You look at the fall of the mutants, okay? Not the greatest storyline in the world, but it was an incredible build-up. That storyline did wind up lasting for a long after the fall of mutants was over. We still, to this day, have effects of the repercussions of the fall of the mutants, all right? Quanon and Psylocke are a separate entity now. You know what I'm saying? Like, some storylines were dropped, some storylines didn't work, like Peter, or Rasputin, he's Piotr again. He's not Peter. He's not American anymore. He doesn't have that glowy flow. That only lasted for like a day, but he's not even considered American anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, he changed and became American. Oh, nothing. You know what I'm saying? But the effects of Psylocke, to this day, we still feel the ripples of that stone in the middle of the pond. So that was, at the same time, here's the problem that writers are facing in this regard. There are just too many comic books out. Let's just face facts. I've seen somebody, I don't remember exactly who it was, but I'm sure I've seen it multiple times. Writers saying, if you expect every comic book to progress storyline, you're doing something wrong. No, that's simply not true. That's simply not true. Because that's what we're used to. That's what us old school comic book readers are used to. It's not our fault that there were only 18 books being written back in the day. There's a bunch of people who hate on Jim Shooter. There are some certain, many reasons to not like Jim Shooter, especially if you worked for him. I get it. But as for the rest of us, as fans, we benefited greatly from Jim Shooter being in that office, the editor-in-chief office. We benefited greatly from him being there. And a lot of the storylines, like case in point, the Ultimate Universe, the only reason why things like that failed was because writers had some kind of a problem with him. Selfishness, whatever, people who can't take constructive criticism or even just flat-out criticism, whatever. I don't know. I'm not in those people's shoes. I don't know. But I will say that as fans, that was one of the greatest times in Marvel history, was when Jim Shooter was in charge. There weren't that many comic books out. There were great new ideas being thrown out, brand new characters being thrown up. Sometimes they were awesome, sometimes they weren't. But most of them, some of them at least, are still with us to this day. Ugh. And when you had an event, it mattered. Fall of the Mutants. what do you call it? I think that was during his time. Either way, you look at some of the things like Ultimate Universe, although it itself failed, and yes, that is, in my opinion, 100% from my research, 100% because the writers rebelled against Shooter, you know? But we still deal with that today. Over in the Avengers comic book, they're dealing with the Star brand right now. Hey, it still affects to this day off of a failed event, a failed launch, right? Doesn't sound very failed to me. And what was the book that Shooter worked on the most? So then you look at something like, what do you call it? Oh, for crying out loud, I hate that I'm doing this when I'm sick, but it's now or never. You look at some of the incredible events that happened back then, right? Some of the Captain America events that happened, the Spider-Man events that happened under his watch, all right? I hate turning this into a Shooter thing, but like seriously, think about it. The events that happened when there were only 18 or so comic books out, they mattered. They mattered. You could have a single comic book, a single run, a single event actually changing the Marvel Universe. You could have some story that actually still has ripples that carry on to this very day. Captain America turning into Capwolf. Seems like such a simple little thing. It was so silly, right? People still talk about it. They made a toy about it, and people went crazy trying to get their hands on it. I got one. And then you have today, where there are just so many events. There's so many events going on. You've got this event going on, and I didn't even read the final issue, the 2099 Omega thing. You know, you've got the Johnny Blaze Goes to Hell thing. You got the King of Hell, whatever it's called. You know, and Mephisto in Las Vegas now. Like, there's not enough attention to these things. There are stories right now, like in the Doctor Doom comic book, where Mephisto is still the ruler of hell. Why? Why isn't there continuity? Because there's just too much going on, and they're not resolving these things fast enough. Sorry, when are we going to actually get the results of the death of the Inhumans? We were promised that. So are we going to rally up and blame Donny Cates for that? No. Why would we? Why would we? But from my understanding, you've literally got 3 people involved in this mini event. You've got Matthew Rosenberg, the head of it all, Dan Abnett, and Christos Gage. 3 people? Who else was involved in this? You know, like maybe you got an editor or 2 involved in this. You know, like what exactly, how many people are actually getting behind this and saying, you know what, let's pump this out? Because I'm just saying, man, we can go back in the day. We could look at things like the Infinity Gauntlet, which they make movies about. People are screaming, rallying about getting the Annihilation wave some way, somehow in the movies. And I promise you, that's going to happen. Okay? That's not like a guarantee. I'm saying, I promise you, that was so good that we are going to get that to happen. That's the kind of event that got people back into books, back into comic books. And how many people were involved in that? How much devotion was put into that? How much other stuff was going on at the same time? One of the main reasons why so many big businesses fail is because they're designed to fail. All right? They're designed to fail in the sense of short-term profits, maximize short-term profits, forget about the long-term gains. We will maximize profits for as long as we possibly can, but it's not about the long game. It's not about investing in the future. It's investing in the immediate and getting these things happening right now. And if the business fails, not a big deal. We've all got golden parachutes. We're going to move on and make a new company and do the exact same thing. That's the reason why we get so many different failed businesses right now. That's the reason why Sears failed. Sears, Roebuck and Company failed. What? Kmart failed. Target failed in Canada. You're in America, you're like, how did Target fail in America? I'm in Canada. I still got Toys R Us. How did Toys R Us fail in America? I know it's coming back, but it shouldn't have to have come back. It should have been there the whole time. It was extremely profitable, but people are all worried about those immediate gains. My peeps, we've got I'm not here to blame any writer for any of this. When you've got in my opinion, in my observation at least, from being on the outside, I'm not an insider, being on the outside and just seeing that nobody cares. Or at least not enough people care. You can't leave it all on the writers and the artists to make these great comic books. You need the backing. You need that backing. I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm not here to point the fingers at anybody. I'm not here to start naming people who I think might be in charge of things. I am going to say in general, though, Marvel as a whole, Disney as a whole, this could have been amazing because everything that was led up to this, just amazing. Why do I feel that this event kind of fell flat? Because I personally see nothing in here that's going to have long-term lasting effects. The way this ended, I genuinely see people going up and like, oh, the next time that we see Annihilus and he's invading something, it's like, hey, I need your help. What? I'm not going to help you. We just saved not just your rule, not just your empire. We saved your entire universe. And you're not going to help us out? Because screw you. I genuinely don't see anything in here that could actually be led to some kind of a great future ripple effect. Nothing changed. Nothing changed. Yeah, I just don't see it. And that's the reason why I think that so many of these mini events, we're going to save you money, we're told. We're going to save you money. We're going to have a bunch of mini events. I don't see how that's saving us money. You know what's going to be saving us money? Us ignoring all of these mini events. Is that really what Marvel wants? Because I don't think it is. I feel like we just need to start doing a whole lot less events. And we need to just start making good comic books for a while. Let's just go a year without making a single event. Is that a possibility? And then all of a sudden we have one killer event next year. So wouldn't that be great? 2020, no events, just comic books. And then 2021, have a great event. Nobody's going to listen to me. You know what I'm saying? But I think that we need to decompress this, because this is the kind of stuff that's going to get people to just look at it as comic books don't matter anymore. And that's really not what I want. Anyway, what the hell do I know? I'm out, guys. I'm going to go try and heal. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.